All right, we got some interesting things going on in the NFL by some of these players. And I want you, whoever you are, to take this as a moment and be reminded that players are people. This is not Madden. This is not just a video game. They're people with feelings, with thoughts, with flaws. And so if you haven't heard some of this news, you got D. Baker, former number one pick by the New York Giants. I believe, he was a rookie last year. And then you got Quinton Dunbar, who's an NFL vet. Both of them had warrants out for their arrest after aggravated robbery. But I know D. Baker turned himself in today. I don't know if Quinton Dunbar did yet, but I don't know all the details. But apparently they was in Miami gambling, lost a lot of money, came back, robbed some people, and D. Baker had they said a semi-automatic weapon, and that he even ordered somebody to shoot somebody, but no one got shot. So I don't know. We'll see what happens if they're guilty or not. But the idea that this could even remotely be a possibility might shock some, but in no way am I saying it's not silly or goofy, but I don't know that I would say it's shocking because it's a lot that goes into that. But not even digging into all the whys and how could this happen. My main thing is we got to remember, especially as this being an NFL draft channel, talk a lot about Bears as well. So I hear a lot of, frankly, stupid opinions from fans. And I think a lot of people just simplify it, especially those that have not played, have not coached, have not been in the game. They just simplify football so much. And that's fine. Look, I casually, very casually watch other sports. And so if I'm talking baseball, basketball, whatever, like it's probably some simplification to it because I'm not deep into it. So I get that. But I think some fans just got to continue to become better fans and learn. And one of the things you got to learn about any sport and remember is that these are people. And so because we just had the draft, and then there's a lot of back and forth with the Bears right now over draft stuff from years ago. But people talk in such absolutes, and they talk from the hip with hindsight. Hindsight's 2020. Yes, you can sit back years after the fact and be like, oh, well, they're stupid. They shouldn't did that. But in the moment, there's a lot to consider. So people always just like, how could a team do this? How could a team do that? You have to consider a lot of factors, and part of it is the personality of the person. Now, it's hard when we're watching Michael Jordan berate and, be a tyrant, that some would say, and he had his greatness and his ability to win. And some people say, well, you don't have to be a great guy. You don't have to be a great person, but your personality, as in your psychology matters. Let's put it that way. And so people wonder why they had these crazy interview questions, why they do the Wonderlic test, why they do all these different things. And you got to realize that you being fast or you being able to catch or throw and all that, like that's nice as a physical ability. But without your mental awareness to then execute that and to be available, it doesn't matter. And so if you're someone that has great ability, but your body just doesn't hold up, you're always hurt, people understand that part. They're like, yeah, he's injury prone. But they somehow just skip over the part when you got character issues. And a lot of people are just like, man, whatever, they can play, let them play. And it's bad. First of all, not only does that put you at risk, but then you're enabling that person. Because now you're rewarding them, and eventually they're going to come around and think like, well, okay, I can keep doing what I'm doing. And so obviously with social media and everything, we hear about more because I'm sure there's pics and other people in the past that have done a lot of crazy stuff, but we see and hear about a lot more because of the technology. but make no mistake, it's an issue. And so you got a really young player who I don't think is that great at the moment. And then you got a rising vet who either way both got money and probably threw away their careers if this ends up becoming like what we think it is. Now you got another person, Sammy Watkins, if you haven't heard this beautiful interview or read it. So he did an interview, I think it was Sports Illustrated, someone. And you just listening to him talk. Now, this man's talking about how, you know, he might be an alien or how spirits possess him and all that. Whatever. Your spiritual belief. But in that, he talks about his depression. He talks about almost retiring from the NFL after 3 seasons and, you know, drinking by himself or drinking at 4 a.m. And you see, like, on the surface, it's like, Sammy Watkins, real good player. People's going nuts like Julio. Ended up not doing great in Buffalo, and they're like, yo, Buffalo sucks, man. We'll see. Then he goes to the Rams, does okay. Goes to the Chiefs, does okay. Fits in with them. I mean, they win, but, you know, he's not like Tyreek Hill or anything. But he does his job. But he's never the Sammy Watkins everybody expected. And that's kind of just what it is. And on the surface, it's easy for you to be like, you made a bad pick. But then you don't see the layers behind it. And you don't see what people are going through. And so you hear some people say they took D. Baker off their board. There's probably some people that took Sammy Watkins off their board. Or people that took other good players off their board in other drafts. And people are like, how could you do that? Or how could you not? There's some teams that just don't risk as much as others. And the psychology is very important because the fans only see 40 times. They only see highlight reels. They don't see the person. And the team has to deal with the person. Matter of fact, if the Last Dance document can show you anything, that these are people. There's stuff happening behind the scenes every single day that affects the trainers, affects the staff, the front office, the coaches, the other teammates. Everything is something they have to deal with. As a fan, you just get to pop in and watch. But as a team, they have to deal with the personality. And this is one of 50-something. So it does very much matter how someone's acting, Antonio Brown, anyone. So you got Sammy Watkins, and again, not to knock him for what he believes in any of that. It's just that you need to know that this person has a different type of mindset, and this person's makeup psychologically might be a little different. And so that goes into it as well. And then today or yesterday, you got Cody Lattimore, former Broncos pick, played with the Giants and also, I believe, signed with the Redskins. He just got arrested for firing a gun in his apartment. Not sure exactly what happened. They were saying there was some assault and everything, but, you know, he's got his mugshot and the police called him. So, like, it seems like he did it, but I don't know the details. And again, we heard about this stuff forever. Forever we heard about this stuff. And so, I mean, not about him, but players doing things of this nature. And again, you see it a lot more now with the technology. And so a lot of these players with red flag issues come back and end up doing red flag things. And sometimes it's people that didn't have red flag issues in college, or maybe the things that got covered up in college. And so, again, you enable these people. They've been enabled. A lot of times, big-time prospects have been big-time prospects since they were before high school. And so you got high schools recruiting them, giving them stuff, enabling them, letting them go to school, skip class, all that stuff, enabling them. They get recruited to big colleges, getting money, illegal stuff, people doing their homework, enabling them, covering up whenever they do something bad. And then they get to the NFL, and now they got millions of dollars. Do you think it's going to become better? And so I think that all of this should just be a reminder that whenever you're talking about anything, your team's draft picks or whatever, keep in mind that these are people. Even if they have a bad game, they have a blow up, whatever, these are people. And we seem to remember that when it's on our team, because we're following them and we know about personalities, we hear the stories, and then people are like, oh, that's a cancer, he's toxic or whatever. And we're okay getting rid of people like that. That's a head case, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to the draft, it seems like people just forget that. That goes out the window. People don't even think about the fact that maybe your team avoided somebody, or maybe your team didn't go for somebody because they don't come across as being the hardest worker or the most stable or the most mature. And I mean, even the cornerback, I forgot who drafted him, but the cornerback, it might have been the Raiders, drafted the guy at Ohio State. That was a huge shock in the first round in this draft. And people was just like, yo, people had him undrafted because he's just not mature. And Urban Meyer came on TV, even said it. Like, he's got some ways to go. And so some teams just have more risk than others. But I think this is a good time and a good lesson to sit back and remember that players are people. And so they bring their upbringing. They bring what they were socialized as kids. They bring all their baggage with them. It's not just as simple as put on a helmet and pads and play football. They have their issues with them as well. So unfortunately, we'll probably see something big come down on these two young players. And, it's a sad situation. But again, does all those highlights, all that high-fiving in the draft room, even if they have a good year, is it all worth it when it ends like this? That's the question you got to ask. So anyway, go to the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around. Get the conversation started. Go to the description section. You can actually leave me a message if you want to get on the show. I might answer it on the show. You never know. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around, and thank you for listening.